Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, heard Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on PSA.com and the PSA Facebook page. The Great American Collectibles Show is brought to you by PSA and the National Sports Collectors Convention. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Sports Collectors Daily. For all of your hobby news, features, and more, visit sportscollectorsdaily.com. And now, your hosts, Tom Zappala and John Molori.
JM, my main man, how you doing,
What's
brother?
up?
I haven't seen you since the National.
I know. Needed
good.
to recover from the National.
We had fun.
Great time.
You guys-
I mean, that was an awesome time.
You guys did a good job, you and Chuck the cameraman.
Yeah.
You know,
Chuck
I appreciate
Antonio
it.
did a great job on camera.
Yeah, we were
Got a lot of good interviews.
We were out straight, and you stepped in on our behalf with Chuck.
Yeah.
And you guys did a great job.
And you know what? The show we did, what I was really impressed at, the audience, we had a great audience there.
Yeah.
And they all took part. They were asking questions. They came up. We had some good subject matter. People were getting involved.
Yeah, and the giveaways. We had some great giveaways.
Great giveaways.
No, it was good.
And
it
when
was a fun show.
James Fiorentine brought up the picture of Rico,
From
the painting of Rico,
yeah, it was
awesome.
a fun show. Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show. Tom Zappala and my compadre, Johnny Molori, JM. Nice to see you, brother. We have a good show today, very good show. One of our favorite guys.
Oh, yeah.
Al Crisafulli from Love of the Game Auctions is going to be with us for the first 3/4 of the show, and then we're bringing in later on Jordan Gilroy and Landon, a new guy on the block with Lelands, Landon Bailey.
Thank you, David.
He's a new acquisition guy. They're going to be joining us. Landon is in Nebraska. Al is in Kingston, New York, and Jordan's in Jersey.
And we're in beautiful
New
downtown
Hampshire.
Salem,
And
New
we're in
Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
But listen, first, our headline,
Yeah.
brought to us by our good friend, Rich Miller and the great gang at Sports Collectors Daily. And Crisafulli is going to love this headline because we talk about this all the time.
All right.
And the headline simply is, if you invested in Fernando Tatis cards,
Ooh, yeah.
you are a moron.
In trouble.
Now, I'm being facetious, but this basically is what we have been talking about
For people that don't know, he was found with a
times.
banned substance that he said came from him. It was a mistake. He was
80
taking
games.
some medication.
80 games.
80 games
so
suspension.
just a couple little tidbits. PwC Marketplace sold 16 of his prospect and rookie cards for $30,000 or more, including 3 for between $117,000 and $144,000, a 2016 Bowman Chrome prospect autograph. Bing. Just a week ago, another auction house, whose name I won't mention, sold another T206 orange refractor card for $54,000.
Wow.
Over 300,000 Tatis cards have sold on eBay within the last 12 months, totaling over, cha-ching, $12 million.
Unbelievable.
With that being said, is there a moral to this story, John?
Well, the moral is, I think guys like yourself, the vintage guys, are smiling wide right now. That's the moral.
All right, let's bring in Al. Let's bring in Al right now because I want to get his
The
take.
speculative guys, not so much.
This is the vintage of the vintage guys. Al
No doubt.
Crisafulli from Love of the Game Auctions. How are you, Al?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi, Al.
Al, I don't know. Did you happen to hear or see our headline just now?
I did hear you. Yes.
Would you like to comment on it?
We're going to start right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate.
Right out of
No, listen, all kidding aside, we're simply trying to make a point. And the point is that with
Fernando Tatis is stupid.
Right.
That's
And with all due respect, if you're a modern or an ultra-modern card investor, you have to be careful.
Got to be careful.
That's all.
Look, I think when it comes to this stuff, you know, there's a big conversation that needs to be happening about substance use and substance abuse in professional sports, and you know that's a much bigger issue than just, you know, what is the value of the
Totally agree.
But I think even if you take that out of the equation altogether, and you're looking at the hobby from the perspective of just being an investor, which, you know, I question that to begin with. But if you're looking at the hobby just from the perspective of being an investor, there are a lot of things that can happen to a player during the course of his career, that can cause a lot of this speculative money. I mean, for every Albert Pujols, there's a Brian Taylor, and a Mark Fidrich and a Fred Lynn. Guys who come out of the gate, and Fred Lynn had a great career, but at the beginning, that 75 rookie card was a monster card.
Yeah.
And so, I think nobody's gonna bust Babe Ruth for steroids. There's not going to be any, scandal that happens with Walter Johnson, and so I really think that from the standpoint of an investment, there's a lot less speculation involved with the vintage stuff.
Well, we've always said that again, and we've been harping on the subject matter that there's nothing wrong with buying those cards, and if you're going to flip them and invest them, and you want to keep them, hold them for 6 months and flip it and make it $100,000, God bless you. But in my opinion, I think it's the opinion of the show. If you're going to invest in cards, expand your portfolio. And we've said this all along. The Babe Ruth cards, the Gaudis, the T206 high-end, T206 Hall of Famers, play ball, those cards, you should look at those as a blue chip stock.
And if you want to, and even if you don't want to go Ruth, Gehrig, there's, Robinson, Clemente's been getting
exactly.
Aaron's been growing in popularity. So I mean, you can play both. You know what I mean?
They're like blue chip.
You don't have to go to Ruth, Cobb, Gehrig.
Right?
You can Mantle. You can.
Right.
It's like investing in Procter and Gamble when we were kids,
right.
or AT&T, or IBM, or any of those.
But
it's a product, and it's a stock that's going to hold value.
Right.
And then if you want to speculate a little bit, then you can speculate.
Comment and question for both of you on the Tatis thing, and then we can close that book. The thing with this is different from like a Fred Lynn. You mentioned Fred Lynn. It was injuries with Fred Lynn. That's what slowed Fred Lynn. He still ended up having over 300 homers. He had a great career. But this thing, and we can look, guys, his first, second year in the league? He's probably not going to the Hall of Fame now. Even if he has numbers, he's probably not going to make the Hall of Fame. The only caveat is by the time he's ready for that, there's going to be a whole new generation of writers who might accept the substance stuff a little bit more than the older writers.
Al, I want to ask.
So this affects his legacy.
Well, I want to follow up on what JM's saying, because you're the pro here, and no, I'm serious like that. You may see cards down the road. Okay,
let's say he ends up having Hall of Fame stats.
Exactly. Does his card, once he gets through this minutia of the suspension and all of that stuff, and now he comes out and he has a banner year, hits 35 home runs, whatever. Does his card go back up in value, or in your opinion, now is the damage been done?
So, okay, I'm much less familiar with this part of the hobby. What has happened to the value of Ryan Braun cards?
They've gone down.
Good point.
So, okay. Again, there's a much bigger discussion that needs to happen here. And I think that in the window, in the rearview mirror, when we're talking about some of these guys like Clemens and Bonds, I think history is going to view these guys much more favorably.
I agree.
Than they're viewed now. I think history is going to view performance-enhancing drugs much more favorably, 20 or 30 years from now. I think there are going to, the concept of science and how it impacts performance is going to change.
I agree in theory with that. The only thing I'm going to say is I'm a little more, if you want to call it, angry at Tatis than Bonds and McGuire, because it was very cloudy back then. There were no rules.
Well, not only that,
the rules are so hard and fast right now. But you should know what you and it's a difference in terms of like these athletes today coming out of the minors. A guy like Tatis, who's a high, big bonus baby minor leaguer. They have all kinds of people working with them. They know what they're putting in their body.
Yes, that's a good point.
You can still make a case that Bonds, McGuire, even Clemens. It was cloudy back then with the rules and what they were taking.
But something else.
Not now.
You know something else, and then let's get on to Al.
Right.
The other thing is, though, Bonds and Clemens, the argument can be made that before they crossed the line, they both had Hall of Fame careers.
There's no doubt.
right?
Sure.
Both of them did. So
I think
anyway.
a good example. Listen, the one closed the book on it, and he already had a great career, much longer than Tatis. What's happened to Manny Ramirez?
Yeah, good
He
point.
got the same 80-game suspension when he was with the Dodgers. You don't hear anything about Manny Ramirez cards. He might be the best right-handed
That's a
hitter
great point.
in the history of the game, top 10.
Yeah.
You hear nothing about him now
Good
because
point.
of this.
All right, let's get to the substance. You had COVID.
I went to a card show and a science project at the same time, and so I came back from the national.
You know, we started. We've started a flow chart of all of the contacts, our friends and colleagues and contacts at the National that have COVID. And again, this isn't first generation COVID. This is COVID, little head cold and some sneezing, but we're just flabbergasted.
I came back as I was driving back. I feeling a catch in my throat. And by the way, I apologize for grabbing some sips of water throughout this show because I still have a lingering kind of a cough. But I'm thinking, I must have been, doing a lot of talking, which I always do, right? So I usually don't have a sore throat from that. And then when I got home, one of the gentlemen that was there with me in my booth texted me to tell me that he had gotten home and tested positive, and I said, "Uh-oh." And sure enough, the next afternoon, I felt like a horse kicked me in the face. I mean,
I was talking to him on the phone. He sounded awful. But again, Ellen and I, people were laughing at us because we had COVID 3 weeks before the National.
Sure, yeah.
And then we decided, I said, something, we're going into a super spreader. So Ellen and I, we had COVID, we tested negative, and 5 days later we got the booster shot. So my doctor said, you guys are going to be like Superman.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I have so many shots in me. And, I was at the show and I was talking to a dealer at the show, and he was telling me he and his wife were set up at a table, and they were waiting outside the room to come in. And this actually made me angry. I laugh about it now, but they were waiting outside the room to come in, and there were these guys, and there was like a group of guys outside the door. They hadn't opened the show yet, and they were sitting around and laughing. And so he sort of sidled over to find out, what are they laughing at? And what they were laughing at was that one of them was COVID positive. And they were going into the show. And so, as soon as he told me that, I said,
we're dead. We're dead.
Wow. And I counted 12 people that I knew that that had it. And
it's just,
on one hand, I was sick for about a day and a half. It was not horrible. I've been sicker a million times in my life. I still am really tired all the time, but that's going to go away. But, even though that's true, there are still people dying from this.
Yeah, no doubt.
So,
Absolutely.
I'm
No
still
doubt.
trying to take it seriously.
No, you're right.
And be careful with it, because you don't know.
You don't.
Who
Totally agree.
You don't.
Who's going to bring it home and give it to his spouse?
That's
who's
right.
going to not have a good outcome.
Totally agree.
So,
all right.
anyway.
Al, you got a hot auction going on.
Unbelievable
It's going to
auction,
end
man. It's
on
great.
Saturday, correct?
Saturday, yeah.
It's going to end Saturday night.
Please bid.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
I said please bid to
Please
everybody.
Oh, God, yeah. As a matter of fact, I told you prior to us coming on, there's one card I'm eyeing that I'm probably going to throw a bid
So
in.
I'm not going to lie to you. I hadn't registered on Al's site yet. I registered this morning.
It's got some cool stuff.
Because I saw 2 or 3 things I need to bid
Yeah, you
on.
got some real cool stuff. Some real, I'll tell you what I'm liking. That you seem to be doing a lot more of. Listen, you have a great selection of cards. I know you've got a near complete T206 set. You've got a lot of individual cards, but you've got some really, really cool memorabilia.
Yeah.
Programs
really cool
and things
stuff.
like that. Unbelievable
Yeah,
stuff.
some cool stuff.
We really have gotten to the point where our auction is really sort of a go-to auction for stuff you don't see every day, whether it be cards or memorabilia or whatever it is. And that's great because that's the stuff that I really like. So it's, not only is that the stuff I like for myself personally, but I also like the people who collect that stuff. And so it's great to interact with those folks and have those consignments come in and have during the course of the auction, these conversations, about the material that's in the auction from people who are really interested.
Cool stuff.
In it.
See,
Yeah, it's a lot of
the '08 World Series tickets.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
There's an '04 World Series ticket from Game 4. The tickets, the tickets, the contracts, the photos, like the off-card stuff.
That stuff is very
really
cool
neat stuff.
Very cool stuff.
But we do have mainstream stuff. I mean, this auction, we have the number 2 Roberto Clemente Master set on the PSA registry, and we've got that broken into a number of different lots. So if you're a Clemente collector, there's lots of opportunities for you to move up in the registry. But if you're not, and you just want to pick off a couple of cool Clemente cards, we have a ton of really interesting cards. I mean, this 68 Bazooka panel. It's not the panel, it's just the card, but it's a PSA 10. I think it's one of 2.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I've never seen this card before. It's gorgeous. And so, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. We have a lot of really rare exhibit cards, which is, the exhibits in the hobby are really starting to gain people's attention because there's a lot of rookie cards that were in the exhibit sets. There's a lot of Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig cards that are just starting to come up in value, and there's a lot of
I said this to you. I know I'm probably raising the price, but I want him to make a few.
I know. Don't mention the things that.
There's one. Let's put it this way. There's one exhibit card that you have that I'm going to go in full force on. Al, I do have a question for you. This is from a personal standpoint. I bought recently. I'm not going to tell you how much I pay, but I wanted to get your opinion of if it's a good card. I bought a 1947 Jackie Robinson exhibit card signed by Jackie Robinson in ink in 1948, and the auto is a PSA 8.
I mean, that's a great card. And there's a cool little secret about the 47 to 66 exhibits. In the lower right-hand corner of the card, it says it is printed in small type, made in USA. And the speculation is that if there's different sizes where that there's different widths of that word, that phrase. And if it measures 5/8 inches.
Oh, let me write this down.
Yeah. And if it measures from 5/8 inches from left to right, I think that's the number. That card was manufactured in 1947.
See, that's what I wanted to find out.
So that's a Jackie rookie card. And it's sort of a poor man's Jackie rookie card because a lot of people don't know that. But it's a 1947 Jackie Robinson.
So wait a second, one more time. If it measures 5/8 of an inch.
You know what? I think I don't want to.
Okay.
But
can I research it online?
Oh yeah. And there's ways of dating all of those exhibit issues.
Wow, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
That's a great card and a really, really underrated card. We actually have in our auction that card, not signed by Jackie. I mean, that's a monster. But we also have the 1953 Canadian exhibits, Jackie Robinson,
really?
which is the same pose. But those Canadian exhibit cards, the first 32 featured Major League players. The second 32 featured Canadian Montreal Royals players. Yeah. But those first 32 are really hard to find, and we've got a whole run of them in this auction, including the Jackie. And they came in 2 different tones. They came in a red tone and a green tone, and we have both, which is
very
really
cool.
Yeah.
Al, I noticed something that jumped out at me. You have a Philly cigar mantle. Is it from 1961? But what stuck with the photo. It was different. It's unique. It's like a real close-up of his face. It almost looked like someone just took a picture of him. Can you talk about that item a little bit?
I had never seen that card before.
Me neither.
It was a redemption offer.
Yeah.
You would send in 20 cigar bands, and so the kids had to smoke the cigars, and then
why not?
Right. But
hold on. Can Chrissy, our producer, smoke cigars? Can she send in 20 bands and gets to you?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I'll send her a 61 mantle.
There you go.
But yeah, I had never seen the card before. And the cool thing about that card is that it is part of the Mickey Mantle Master Set. It's a hard one to find. And if I remember correctly, the one that we have in the auction is one of the higher graded known, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of photographic sort of thin paper, I guess.
Right.
And condition sensitive, but you're right. It is a beautiful close-up photo. Really clear and nice for that era, which is pretty cool.
Hey, listen, before we take a quick break, there's another item that kind of jumped out at me because I like the history of baseball. Tell me about the House of David jersey that you have.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
so that's and now of course I don't have the player's name in front of me, but when we go to break I'll dig it up. But the jersey was the House of David Historical Society or something like that confirmed that it was traced back to 1932.
Wow!
And was
what they're all about,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
A specific
They came to this area a few times and played ball.
With the
Lawrence.
beards.
In Lawrence, they came and played. Yeah.
These old jerseys blow me away because when you hold them in your hands, they are so heavy.
Are they really?
They're not even like 70s or 60s flannel, which are kind of a lightweight sort of flannel. These are just heavy woolen jerseys. And I imagine these guys with this long hair and these
beards,
crazy beards and these heavy woolen jerseys on a baseball field in August, trying to get through a game without heat stroke.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Grover Cleveland Alexander pitched some for them for a little while. I think he did.
You're right.
All right, listen, we are chatting with Al Crisafulli from Love of the Game Auctions. Big time. This is kind of like your blockbuster summer, fall.
So we do 3 a year. 3 big ones a year, and I mean, big ones being relative. We don't, we're not having $10 million, Ken Golden auctions. But we have 3 a year, one in the spring, one in the summer, and then one right in November. And so this is the summer auction.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We come back. We're going to speak a little more or chat a little more with Al. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, mile high. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectibles Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back. And before we get back to our good friend Al Crisafulli, nice Italian guy. There's nothing like a good Italian.
Nothing like 3 Italians in the same room.
You're not
Except maybe 2 Italians in the same room.
You're not full Italian, though, right?
Yeah, I'm full Italian.
That's not what I heard.
Well, listen, I've never done this stupid search.
Rico told me you were half Czechoslovakian.
No, a quarter Czechoslovakian.
Is that what it is?
Half Polish.
Hey, why don't you tell us about
That's
our
why I
good
get along with Rico.
Tell us about our good friend Joe Drellick and the Philly Show.
I will. East Coast Sports Marketing and Hunt Auctions are pleased to present the Philadelphia Sports Collectors Show, the Philly Show, from Friday, September 23rd to Sunday, September 25th, held at a new location, folks, the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center, Hall B, 100 Station Ave in Oaks,
And
Pennsylvania.
it's not too far from the old location.
That's a township, Oaks, named after a plural of trees.
No, it's named after a guy. There was that Oaks guy. What was his name, Al? T206 Oaks. There was a guy.
Rebel Oaks.
Rebel Oaks.
Rebel Oaks. Not named after him at all, by the way.
Okay.
Shop over 250 of your favorite hobby dealer booths on over 75,000 square feet of sports collectibles heaven from the 1800s to present day. Major sports auction houses and third-party grading and authentication companies are on hand to assist your collecting needs. The Philly Show is family-friendly, and all kids 12 and under get in for free. Autographed guests include Baseball Hall of Famers Jim Rice, good guy, local guy from around
I'm
here.
not a big Rice fan.
Well, we can talk about that. Ricky Henderson, who we met at dinner.
Ricky was a great guy.
Couple of nationals
Ricky was
ago.
great. Ricky was
John Smoltz and 2022 inductee Jim Cott, Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Famer and legend Brian Dawkins, and so many more. For more information, go to phillyshow.com. Remember, since 1975, the Philly Show is where it all started.
I got to tell you guys a funny story about the National. I don't know if I told you this. So after the show on Friday, we went out to dinner. We had a dinner meeting. Myself and Ellen and Joe Orlando and Jackie Curiel.
I was asked not to go.
No, you're out.
Yeah.
But anyway, we ate at the Palm, beautiful restaurant, because it was a business meeting.
Absolutely.
But walking out of the Palm, somebody, and I don't remember who it was. Was it? No, it wasn't Grady. Somebody, I can't remember who it was. I saw him. And we're walking out to the car, and I bump into him. I said, "What the hell are you doing here?" Right? He says, "Hey, I want you to meet somebody." Next to him, this big, tall guy. It was Chris Mullen.
Oh,
so
he was walking around the show, Mullen. Yeah, I saw him.
I didn't realize that. So he says, "Hey, say hi to Chris Mullen." I said, "Stevie Donahue." Chris Mullen goes, "What?" I said, "Stevie Donahue." He says, "How do you know Stevie Donahue?" I said, "He was my college roommate. My college roommate was his high school coach."
No way. He's from New York. New Yorker guy.
Power Memorial.
Yeah.
And then he transferred.
That's
so
Alcindor.
Listen though. So then he said Louis Piccola. I said Louis and I played basketball together. He says, "You're kidding me, right? No, this is a joke." I says, "No, 'cause we all went to the same school." Louis, he went to one school for 2 years and then transferred, and Louis was his high school coach at the other.
Wow.
So we had a
You
lot
got a
of
picture with him?
No.
You should have.
No, we were talking, just laughing about my college roommate, but he did say something which was really interesting. Because my college roommate, he was my college roommate. We talk once or twice a year still.
Right.
He said, "Steve Donahue, I've had many coaches in my life. He's in the top 3 best coaches
That's saying
I've
something.
ever had."
Louis Conaseca, Don Nelson, he played for some great coaches.
He says, "He's Steve." So tip of the cap.
That's awesome.
Hey, Al, you and I were talking yesterday.
Would have been fun if I was at that dinner. I could have
out.
met Chris Mullen.
You're out. You and I were talking.
Drinking by myself on the boardwalk, Dave.
He was you. No, he listened.
That was me. Thanks for stopping, Al.
And he had a cup. And he had a cup in front of him that said, "Please help."
Made $74.
Hey, Al, yesterday you and I were talking, and I want to make a point about love of the game auctions. You've got the biggies. You've got the Heritages, the Goldens. We know who they all are, right? The REAs, bigger houses. You can love them, you can not love them, but they're all big, successful houses.
Good people.
And then you get the other. Then you have the smaller houses, like who they do very well. Guys like Scott Russell, the Collector Connection. Guys like
Mile High.
Well, he's bigger.
Okay.
But you get guys like Lee Behrens.
Yep.
Right. And then you get guys. Al, you're the only auction house that I call a tweener.
I really don't know what the hell I am.
You're in between. No, but you're in between. You're in between the large auction houses and you're in between the small auction houses, which is a perfect niche for yourself. Perfect niche, because you don't sell the $1 million card, but you sell a card that everybody can afford. And it's some of the items you have are really, really attractive items because of the size of your business. If
anybody out there would like to consign $1 million card,
I'm sure you wouldn't turn it down.
But I think what Zap's saying is, and I think this auction is a great representation of that.
Absolutely.
Look, there's Roots, okay? There's Aaron, there's Mays, there's Robinson in this auction, but it's a mix. It's a great mix, and you can have your high-end, 4 to 5 figure things, but then you're going to get some that right now it bids $100 that you can get in on. So
it's really important to me that we've been talking since this show started about investing in this and investing in that and all of this. This hobby is about collectors. It's about history, and it's about finding stuff that's hard to find, and it's about chasing after that piece that you need. And that's for everybody. That's not just for investors. And so, I'm a collector. I understand that some of the things that I collect may be worth money, but I collect them because I love them, and I love the history, and I love learning about the stuff. And I always want to make sure that my auction appeals to that person and has material for that person. Sure, there are people who are shopping in my auction for investment reasons. But we're named Love of the Game for a reason. And so,
right. Good point.
That's kind of what we are and what we're all about. Now, if you're a consigner, there are a lot of advantages to the big auction houses, for sure. But when you have those pieces that are $5,000 up to $100,000, we're giving those pieces serious marketing attention in our auction. We're able to really focus on those because I don't have 50 six-figure lots in my auction that I have to focus on.
Right.
I'm not getting, and this is not a criticism, it's just reality. When you're selling thousands of lots and you're banging them out every month, you can't give marketing attention to every single one of them. And so I think that's where we fit. When you have a $20,000 item or a $50,000 item or a $5,000 item, and you wanted to have a home where it's going to be treated well and it's going to be properly described, and it's, the auction house is going to take some time and let people know about it and let people know why it's important and why it's a cool thing to own. I think Love of the Game is the best resource in the hobby for that stuff. And excuse me for being spammy with my, I know we like to chat about the hobby and all of that. But at some point I feel like I do need to put a commercial out there for my company because I think it is a special alternative to a lot of the bigger houses.
Al, we've talked about a few of the items in the auction. Are there a couple items or anything you want to mention that is like a cool item, something maybe that what you feel like is a real love of the game item that kind of fits what you do, a couple items that excite you, some wow items on your end?
I mean, we've got some great 19th century pieces that I'm really proud of. We've got a beautiful N173 cabinet of King Kelly. We've got a couple of large format photos from the 19th century. One of a Lowell Massachusetts baseball team that has Hugh Duffy, and another one of the 1899, I think, New York Giants. That's sort of a championship photo. It's got 4 or 5 Hall of Famers in it. But there's also some cooler post-war vintage stuff. One of the things that's one of my favorite pieces in the auction is this, which is a 1958 Packard Bell Willie Mays. So in 58, Packard Bell was like a television manufacturer. And what they did was to introduce the 2 new baseball teams that were coming to California. They produced a small set of schedule cards with the Dodgers and the Giants schedules on the back. And they're postcard-sized cards, and they are super, super rare today. We've got 2 in this auction. We've got a Gil Hodges, and we've got this Willie Mays, which is the highest graded PSA copy. This card is really, really hard to find, and so much that a lot of people don't know about it. And when they look at it, it looks like just a regular old exhibit card from the 60s. That is not what this is. This is a 58 Packard Bell Willie Mays, and it's a really, really tough card. So that's one that's sort of a favorite. We have this newly discovered Rose Company postcard, Christy Matheson.
Maddie, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's a pretty great card, and the whole issue is hard to find. There's all sorts of little nuances about the players and different variations in the set that are really cool. But the Matheson is obviously one of the keys, and it's always cool to find one that's newly discovered that we just had PSA grade. Came back at 2, but it's a really, really nice looking 2. It's got nice corners. There's a little toning on the back, a little discoloration that's related to age, and that's really what's responsible for the grade. So if you're one of these guys that's out there shopping for a card with nice eye appeal, that's a more collector grade example, a more affordable example, that's a great option. And then on the newly discovered, we also have this newly discovered 1921 Exhibits Babe Ruth, which is a great card. One of my favorite Ruth cards because it pictures him fielding as opposed to or hitting, which is kind of cool.
Right.
It's one of the first cards to show him in a Yankees uniform, and I'm all about that. And
he always has to throw that in. You ever notice that?
But I think that's a really cool card, and I love the fact that it comes from an original owner collection. It's a second generation collection, where the gentleman reached out to us and had a bunch of exhibits and Gaudies, but also some more recent cards, and they all wound up getting consigned to us, which is pretty cool. I apologize for my telephone ringing. But anyway, I think those are some of the cards that I think are great. We also have the number 20. It's number 19. Something happened. 1970 top set on the PSA.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
It was number 20. It was number 20. It was number 20. And I just looked a couple days ago at number 19. Nothing changed about the set. So I don't know if somebody retired a set or downgraded a card or 2 or something like that. But that's a really cool and underappreciated set. That's kind of, condition sensitive because it's silver borders and it's subject to chipping, just maybe not as severe as the 71 set, but it's, and then you've got all of those tops, centering and quality control issues. It's like they didn't even care when they were made. They were made card 60s and 70s, and so this is a really nice set. And actually, bidding is it's a pretty affordable set right now if you take a look at it in the auction.
Hey, Al, quick question. Going back to the Lowell, is that a Type 1 photo?
It's a big cabinet, not a cabinet photo. It's a big oversized photo. So it's these photos were so expensive to make in the 19th century that chances are that they're original photos that were given to people on the team.
That may be a good, it's Lowell.
Yeah.
It's the Lowell team. You, Duffy, Hall of Famer. And that may be something to take a look at.
I saw that.
Did you?
It's a very, very cool piece. I love those. I love those oversized 19th century photos and 19th century stuff in general. this is the rarest stuff in the hobby. So when they're talking about these new cards that everybody is, oh, this is a 1 of 1 or a 1 of 5 or a 1 of 25 or whatever it is. A lot of these 19th century pieces, they were not produced for collectors. They were produced for the people on, in the photo, people on the team. And when you find one, a lot of times it's the only one. It's the only one that survived, and all of the other ones are hidden in attics or they've been destroyed over the years or whatever. So if you can latch onto one of these things, you're getting a really rare piece of baseball history.
Very cool.
And for collectors who are interested in the actual game part of the hobby and learning the history of it, that's the stuff, man. That 19th century stuff.
Yep.
Al, we have about 3 minutes left. I'm going to throw some words out at you, and just your thought off the top of your head. You ready?
All right. Yeah.
9.5 Mickey Mantle going to hit 10 million?
Oh, definitely. That's a monster. Beautiful card. Nicest one I've ever seen.
The Golden Wagner that he sold for what, 5 point whatever it was million. What's your thought on that?
It's the marquee card in the hobby. It's,
Great card. So if that card is worth 5.7, what is the Kendrick card going to be worth someday?
Boy, you loaded that question up, huh?
Thought I'd throw it out. Since, by the way, you can't see it on. No.
Yeah. You know what? When that Kendrick card gets consigned to Love of the Game, it will break all of the records for the most valuable card that's ever been sold.
I think so, too.
That's a beast of a card. With all of the history behind it and everything, doesn't matter. That's the most famous card in the hobby.
Cool card. Actually, you know something? I think the history makes it cooler. A cooler card. Right?
I agree.
All right.
Yep.
Fractional buying.
Not my favorite. It's not my favorite thing. It's I think that there are investors out there who they want to invest in the hobby. I think there are collectors out there, but that window of people. Look, there are people who invest in classic jukeboxes and classic cars and all kinds of things like that because they want this tangible thing that also has financial value, but they want to have the thing. And so people who invest in stocks and things like that who care less about, well, I want to show you my Amazon shares, or I want to show, they're not interested in showing you the stock certificates and things like that. So there are people like that. I just think, like, if you take the collectors and you take the investors and you make a Venn diagram where they in the middle, this person who is interested in the hobby but doesn't really care to own the thing, I just don't know if there's enough people who fall in that middle spot that can sustain it. I could be wrong.
Lastly, the Great American Collectibles on-air staff, Petrocelli, Molori, and Zapp, are willing to trade to the Love of the Game staff 3 extra L official Gax polo shirts for 3 Love of the Game polo shirts. And don't be cheap.
Yes.
Let's make that happen. I'm
Let's
all
do
over
it.
that.
We will get you 3.
By the way, this is game worn. This is show worn.
Let's go back to the fractional thing.
Go.
Because I also didn't think that they would like fried chicken and waffles. So, for all I know, what do I know?
Right.
So, anyway. All right, we're going to get 3 XLs in the mail to you. You get 3 XLs in the mail to us.
You got it.
All right, Al. Your website address is?
loveofthegameauctions.com.
And the auction ends Saturday night at what time?
Saturday, extended bidding begins at 9 p.m., so you've got to get your bids in, your initial bids in by 9. And if you're not a registered bidder, don't wait till Saturday to register because we do not accept new registrations on a day that we can't check your references.
Good.
So do that on Thursday or Friday or even Wednesday.
Awesome, Al. All right, we wish you the best. Great auction, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thanks, Al.
All right. Hello to Tobacco Row.
Guys in Tobacco Row are great. Take care. Al Crisafulli from Love of the Game Auctions. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We come back. Landon and Jordan are going to be joining us from Lelands. Landon, Jordan, Lelands.
That's it, LJL.
Hang in. We'll be right back.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business. If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Lelands Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Lelands was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Lelands has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Lelands, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
With so many fakes out there, it's hard to figure out if the sneakers you want are real. But when you buy eligible sneakers on eBay, you can be confident they're genuine because every pair goes through a meticulous authentication process. Introducing eBay Authenticity Guarantee. First, the sneakers you've purchased are inspected by a team of professional authenticators who carefully examine the shoes. including color, pattern, logos, and materials. Then they're measured and compared to the eBay listing to make sure they match. Even the laces, accessories, and box are checked. Once your sneakers are verified, they receive an authenticity tag, and every tag is NFC enabled so you can see the detailed specs. eBay Authenticity Guarantee. No fakes, no fraud, no doubt.
And eBay is the place to go for all of your memorabilia, sports or non-sports cards, autographs, and much more. Much, much more. Double, too muches.
That's a bit much.
Well, you're right. Whether it's a gift for that special someone or you want to just add to your collection, eBay's huge marketplace should be your first stop. And if you sell, now's the time to flip your cards and get some extra cash. I shop on eBay all the time. That's eBay connecting buyers, sellers globally.
I just had the best protein bar.
I mean, it was a pretty basic bar.
No, but there were chunk walnuts in it.
No, that was good. I eat them sometimes.
I feel like energized.
Yeah, well, you don't look energized.
All right, listen. Before we
That's good. You're energized for the last 10 minutes of the show.
Jordan and Landon from Lelands. Jordan Gilroy, Landon Bailey. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Hey, guys.
Listen, before we chat with them, I want just a little clarification about the Diamondbacks book. I guess the publisher's having a little problem with Amazon. I don't even know if you know that. There's some kind of a glitch that they're trying to work it out. So right now, if you want a copy of the Diamondbacks collection, 50 of the greatest cards in sports collecting history, written by Tom and Ellen Zappala, with contributions by the famous John Molori and Joe Orlando, you can go to tomzappalamedia.com. tomzappalamedia.com. That's going to be posted to buy a copy. We have been inundated with books. Thank you so much. We just got another big order from the Hall of Fame. You know that our book, This is the Truth?
All the books are there, right?
They're the #1 seller at the Hall of Fame.
You're kidding me.
I swear to God.
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
That's good.
All right, let's bring in Jordan Gilroy. Well, they're already here. Jordan and Landon from Lelands. First of all, hey, Landon, we talk to Jordan all the time. Welcome, Landon. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's great to be here, guys.
How do you like working with this guy?
It's a great group. Everyone there really knowledgeable. They're great to get along with. It's been a great place.
That's not what you told me. I'm just kidding.
No, I'll tell you what. Lelands is one of the pioneers in the auction houses, and I know Josh was a wonderful, wonderful guy. As a matter of fact, Josh was a regular on the show every other week. He was hysterical. But Hef and Jordan and the rest of the gang, the guys have done a great job, Jordan. And Landon, you're in with it with a good company. Jordan, let's talk about the auction results. First of all, you guys had a hell of an auction.
Oh, yeah, the pop-up?
Yeah.
That one? Yeah, that was cool. We had, it wasn't a huge auction, but the results were huge. Some Brady cards are always going to get in there. Some vintage autographs at, the typical Lelands.
I mean, you had a little of everything. Some signed baseballs, exhibit cards. Molori he's a Tom. You're a Tom Brady butt boy. You know that?
What are you talking about?
I mean, that's all you do is you.
Well, I got to hold the ball.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. At the National, I got to hold the ball, the last touchdown ball, which is still the last touchdown ball, by the way.
Technically, yeah.
Well, theoretically, he could get hit by a train before the season starts, right?
It's true.
No, it was great. It was great.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, Landon, so what is your role going to be at Lelands?
Yeah, so I'll be helping with acquisitions. I've had experience at other places, so just trying to use what I've learned in the past and apply it here at Lelands. Try to get some a little bit more modern cards in the house as well. Try to just hit the ground running and try to get it as much as we can in house and try to get these auctions really rolling.
Well, John and I just yesterday, it's funny you mentioned that because we just bought 3,499 Fernando Tatis cards that you can have for $1 a piece.
Great time to buy. Yeah, great time to buy.
All right, so you're going to be handling. So I know, John, you're kind of like a vintage / modern guy. Landon, you're more of a modern guy, so you're kind of bringing. You're going to bring some knowledge into modern, ultra-modern, baseball, basketball, football, a little of everything?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I've done some TCG as well. So, I love basketball. That's probably my favorite thing to collect and watch. But I've done every sport, and so I'm excited for for the opportunity. And then, I wouldn't say there's a specialty. Just the modern cards is kind of what I enjoy collecting, and so it's what I've been knowledgeable with.
Both of you guys can comment on this. You guys just had a Steph Curry card, I think went for close to $30K, if I'm not mistaken. Can you talk about Steph Curry, where he is in the hobby now, but just generally, I almost get the feeling that with modern, maybe even with younger collectors, that basketball is kind of driving this thing right now, even though traditionally I think baseball has always been the sport. But can you just comment on that a little bit? It just seems, Ja Morant, Zion if he comes back, Steph Curry, even the veteran players like that,
Jason
that hoops is hot,
how
right?
About Jason
Tatum, right, exactly.
He helped us play for the Celtics. You could throw him a ball.
Well, they lost in the finals.
All
So
right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Anyway, guys, comment on that if you could.
I mean, there's a lot of, with basketball, it's a lot of the international buyers that help it too.
That's right.
There's more international with that than football and baseball, maybe even combined. So, there's also the young guys that are having a lot of fun out there, like everyone you just mentioned, and everyone has so much money invested in them. So they're always pumping the cards that they own. So you're never going to have a shortage of people, talking up these players and screenshotting sales and trying to hype up people to pay more for cards that they have. So with Curry though, he's still young, not as young as Luka and Morant, but he's not like LeBron. No one's counting down the years until he's going to retire.
This you guys. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Landon.
Go ahead, Landon.
I was just going to say Curry is the player since I've been alive, the one that people feel like they could be. Like there's not many people that are going to be 6'7" and hops like crazy, but Curry was the first player. He wasn't super tall, but he could just shoot like crazy. And that's the most obtainable thing for people today.
And guys, don't you think that this past, we talked about, they beat the Celtics in the finals, but Curry, I'm not going to say single-handedly, it's a great team, but he really did single-handedly beat them in a couple of games. And look, before he had won with them, he was the guy, but he was young then. Then Durant was finals MVP for a couple of those titles. This was the Steph Curry final against the Celtics.
Really was.
And I just think this launched him into maybe a whole new category as we see the rest of his career.
You know what's interesting here? How, and Landon, you can probably speak to this point. It seems as though they were like, with basketball cards, there's been three distinct generations. You had the George Mikan, the Bill Russell, the John Havlicek, Oscar Robertson cards, that generation of cards, and then that morphed into the Larry Bird, MJ, Magic,
Isaiah Thomas, the whole 80s, 90s, yeah.
And then that generation has morphed into the LeBron, kind of Shaq, LeBron,
Dwayne Wade,
Dwayne Wade, and into today. I mean, there's been a kind of a progression that has seemed from generation to generation that's picked up a head of steam. Is that the point?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's been huge players in each one, and when you look at today's generation, like Zion Williamson has barely stepped on the court,
right?
But think of what he's done on an impact to cards. He single-handedly seemed to spike the pandemic card boom. It was first Zion is what it felt like. Right when that Prism came out, Zion just shot through the roof and everyone was chasing it.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it doesn't take a superstar anymore to spike the hobby. It just takes that need for one person to just go crazy. And you see how many people came in just trying to chase that. And it's been really fun to watch for the hobby.
All right.
And then I hope that the play on the court will eventually do what his cards have done.
So playing the devil's advocate for a moment, if I may. So what is your advice to a young hobbyist who potentially could invest in a Zion Williamson card or someone, and the guy tears his Achilles and he's done? You have to kind of be careful because Bill Russell's dead now. Oscar Robertson is 150 years old.
Thanks.
Point being is that, I mean, what piece of advice do you give to these guys that are spending this kind of big money on the modern players? Do you have to be careful?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't think Michael Jordan's going to do too much to hurt his reputation. So if you want solid value, go for the older stuff with the guys who continue to grow and grow. But if you want the fun, the chase, the
See, that's a good point.
Potential gamble, that's why people are going for the modern stuff.
Good point.
Yep.
Good point.
Yep. I just watched the Captain documentary, Derek Jeter.
Captain and Tennille.
Both, yes, the Captain and Tennille. Love did keep them together, by the way, until he died. Yeah, it's terrible.
Go.
Well, you said Bill Russell died.
I'm sorry.
Bill Russell, Darryl Dragon. I mean, come on.
All right.
Where's Jeter in the hobby right now? I don't know if you guys saw that, but obviously, he's right up there with the great Yankees of all time, which puts him right up there with the great players of all time. Where is Jeter in the hobby right now? Your thoughts on him?
Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So he, everyone was hyping him up with the beginning of the documentary, as they do for any documentary. They always try to take advantage of people using someone's name a lot to try to sell their stuff. But, he was never really in the media spotlight. So it's not like people are talking about him every day, unless it's for this documentary. But Yankee fans are loyal, and Yankee fans have deep pockets. So whenever they want something big like Jeter, they're going to pay up for it. So he's still pretty expensive overall.
Landon, not quite the impact The Last Dance had on the Jordan cards, right?
Well, thankfully, the pandemic, we're not at home anymore. So
yeah, right.
I think those days of one show taking over the hobby for a little while are gone.
Yeah.
And thank goodness, because I don't miss staying at home every day. But it's still, I think there will be a little bump, because some of his bigger cards were so rare and in high grade, they're just so hard to find that his stuff's going to continue to grow.
Good. We're just about out of time. I want to get you guys back to guest host with us, to do a full show with us, because I think we could have some really cool discussion. I'm a vintage guy. JM is kind of in the middle. Rico's a vintage guy. You guys, you're kind of like on both ends of the spectrum. I think we could have some really cool dialogue about vintage versus modern.
Yeah.
Are you guys in?
That'd be cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Your website address.
Lelands.com.
Oh, very, very
nice
difficult.
Perfect.
Lelands.com. All right, make sure you guys tell Hef we send him our love.
Yes.
And by the way, we have a nice tell Hef we have a nice present in the mail for him. You know what the publisher did?
What?
Obviously with the book.
Yep.
The beautiful 80% of that is Mike's.
Yep.
They had some beautiful 11 by 14 high gloss prints of every single
That's
item
awesome.
in there.
That's great.
It's going to be cool.
Beautiful.
All right, guys, take care, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Be good. JM, nice show today.
By the way, can I just say, you love it when modern guys get caught with steroids or get hurt. You love it.
Eat it up.
You eat it up. You don't even try to hide it.
Eat it up.
You're begging for the next guy to take something that ends in OLO or hit his knee and get a little non-contact ACL.
This guy, John.
You love it.
Morant?
Yeah. Jamie.
Irritates me.
I love when you go, no, what happens if this guy should tear his Achilles? What do you think is going to happen to his card, kid?
I'm a vintage card. With that being said, JM, have a great week.
Love you, man.
To our viewers and listeners, Chrissy, David, great job as usual. Have a great week and happy collecting. That was good.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.